Hey y'all, and welcome to the Maddux Woodworks workshop. Today, I'm going to show y'all how you can build this picture frame for pretty inexpensive. So let's get started. I started by using my joining jig from my table saw and jointed the edges of some 2x8 scrap stock I had in the shop. I decided to make several of these frames, so that's why I'm joining so many pieces. The way this joining jig works is that it's cut perfectly square so that it'll ride along the side of the fence and give you a nice clean straight edge. Once you have the initial jointed edge, you use that edge to reference against your fence. I set my fence to 4 3/4 inches so that I could rip these boards down and prep them for the glue up. While I'm ripping this lumber, I want to give a quick shout out to the ladies over at Shanty to Chic. They've got a nice set of plans that we modeled after to build this project. I'll have a link in the description. I then cut the boards to length at 11.5 inches and ran them through the planer to square them up. Once the boards were planed, it was time for the glue up. I applied a bead of glue, laid the boards flat against the workbench, and clamped them together. After letting the boards sit for a while, I then cleaned them up with my hand plane. There really is something satisfying about the shavings coming off the board. You can see that it leaves a nice, seamless surface. Then it was time to add a coat of stain and let it dry. While the stain was drying, it was time to break down some stock for the facial board. I once again used some leftover stock I had in the shop, but you can use anything 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. I'm using the Home Right Finish Max sprayer. Lay down some paint. You can see I was having a little trouble with the power of the paint sprayer moving that piece of wood around, but I got it done. Added 2 more coats and had a perfect finish. We then began roughing up the edges of the board. First, we went all the way around with 120 grit. Then, we went in a little more aggressive with 80 grit. Then, we followed it up once more with 120 grit to soften up some of the other sanding marks. In order to make sure we got the proper placement of the facial board when it went back onto the backer board, we used a marking gauge to mark 2 diagonal corners. Then it was time for some glue. As we were spreading the glue, we made sure to stay well within our end marks to prevent squeeze out. We then set the baseboard down and clamped it into place. Now that the glue had dried, I was able to add the hardware. We used these Everbuilt 1.5 inch flat corner braces found at the Home Depot and painted them black. To install them, I used one of the braces as a template and pre-drilled all of the screw locations. I then installed the screws with a screwdriver. I decided to use a screwdriver here instead of a drill, just so I would have better control and not risk damaging the piece. Then I marked for center at the top of the fascia board. This is going to be the location of the Bulldog clip. For attaching the clip, I chose to use Titebond's Instant Bond CA glue. I'm finding that this glue is useful for all kind of projects in the shop. I waited for a few minutes for the glue to set, and we were done. Now, I know I did a couple of things to make it a little more complicated by ripping down boards and joining them. You can just get a regular old 2x10 piece of lumber, cut it to the length you need, and that'll be your backer board. But yeah, I was able to use some scrap stock here in the shop, and I think it turned out pretty good. So anyway, thanks for watching. Happy woodworking.